when whippoorwill call, and evening is nigh, I hurry to my blue heaven.
G'day guys, welcome to another episode of My Blue Heaven. Hope everyone's well, or as well as you can be in these difficult times. We would have been gearing up for a big game against the Western Bulldogs this Saturday at Marvel Stadium, but such is the situation at the moment. We're not quite sure where we're at in regards to when the footy's going to be back, if it will be back this year, and very, very disappointing. But I suppose there's bigger areas of concerns in everyone's life. So I hope everyone is doing well, stay safe, keep inside, do all the right things, and hopefully we can get back pretty shortly. I want to keep this channel going. It's pretty important for me and hopefully for all my subscribers that you enjoy the content. So I've been racking my brain. I'm in isolation at the moment, day 3 of isolation. So I'll spend a fair bit of time just thinking about the past. So I think in our situation, it's not so much thinking about what it may look like in the future, but for me, it's been reminiscing about days gone by. And I've been going to the football since I was around about 18 months old. My first grand final was 1972. Now I'm starting to show my age there. I used to go to the footy on my dad's shoulders with mum and my brothers. Was lucky enough to see, obviously the glory days in the late 1970s through the 1980s and into the 90s. So what I thought I might do is put together my best Carlton football team. I'm calling it my Carlton Football Club Elite 1979 through to 2020. Now, why do I start 1979? Because that's probably the time as around about a 10-year-old that I can remember footy, and I remember the football club. I remember the mid-1970s, but my recollections are a little bit blurry. So most of these players are post-1979. Obviously, some of them played in the late 1970s and even early 1970s, but had a huge impact on our football club through that period. I'd love to have your feedback in the comments below, whether you agree with me, whether you're my vintage, you can remember some of these players, and whether I was a little bit harsh on some of our modern players. So let's start with the back line. Back pocket, Desi English, played over 100 games, 2-time premiership player in 1981 and 1982, was the ultimate small defender, back pocket player, beautiful skills, well balanced, was out of Eaglehawk in the Bendigo League where we used to get a lot of our players throughout the 1970s and 1980s. He was a fabulous player. His career was cut short when he got leukemia in, I think it was 1986, and missed out on the 1987 premiership. Just a really, really good footballer, and was an integral part of our defence in those golden years. Fullback, Stephen Silvani. Look, we couldn't go past Sauce. AFL, VFL team of the century. Played on all the best forwards in that really, really brilliant era of football. Was a scragger, courageous, could go forward and kick goals. But he was known as one of the great fullbacks of all time. So he picks himself. And in the other back pocket, we have Peter Dean, another boy out of South Bendigo. Came across as a forward in his early years at Carlton, played between 1984 and 1988. 2-time premiership player in 87 and 95. One of the most courageous players to ever pull on a Carlton jumper through that time. The ultimate team player, pretty skillful, nice kick, but desperate. Would hate to play on him. Could play small, could play tall, and it's that perfect sort of medium, sort of tallish height as your third defender. Across the half-back line, Kenny Hunter. Now, I speak about Peter Dean, probably the most courageous player, then it's hard to go past Kenny Hunter. The difference, though, Kenny Hunter was an absolute brilliant footballer, either back or forward. Made his name as a half-back flanker, but could pinch hit as a really dangerous forward at times. Played a lot taller than his size, great in the air, very good off the deck. Came across from Western Australia, played in 3 premierships, 81, 82, and then again in 87 as one of the best ever Carlton footballers. So he starts on the half-back flank. Brucey Dool, who can go past Brucey Dool? Probably played his best football in the late 1970s and early 1980s, but played right up into 1986 when he retired. is arguably one of the best defenders to ever play the game, and he slots in perfectly at centre half back. Over 300 games, multiple best and fairest winner, beautiful mover, great spoiler, absolute brilliant footballer, Brucey Dool. And on the other half-back flank of Andrew McKay from South Australia out of Glenelg, over 200 games, great defender. And he was one of the first, I suppose, defenders that really ran the lines and became a really attacking offensive player. Played between 1993 and 2003, All-Australian, and also 1995 Premiership player. We go to the centre line. A little bit of controversy is, so I'm going to start with David Glascott, the boy out of Thomastown. Skinny, sort of runty-looking wingman who had tremendous skill and tremendous courage. Played between 1981 and 1991. Played in 2 premierships, 81 and 82, in his first 2 years at the football club, one as a teenager. He used to ignite the team throughout his time. He was just a terrific ball getter and had that ability to weave in and out of traffic. Unfortunately for him, he suffered a really bad shoulder injury at the back half of his career. Played in the 1987 Premiership as well, so he's a 3-time Premiership player, and I couldn't go past him. Apologies to Scotty Camporelli, who was a really good wingman through that period as well, or a little bit later than David Glascott. So Glascott just pipped Scotty Camporelli. In the middle, who can go past Diesel? Originally from the Bendigo era. Came down to Carlton, was rejected for being too slow and too fat. Went back to Bendigo, got picked up by Tommy Hafey at the Cats. Was a great player there, then went to the Sydney Swans where he became a Brownlow medalist, and eventually made his way to Carlton where he played some fabulous football for the Blues. Norm Smith medalist, Premiership player in 95, and also a Brownlow medalist. Was one of the best footballers ever to pull on a Carlton jumper, and one of the best footballers ever to pull on a jumper in the VFL/AFL. So Diesel Williams in the guts. I'll put Anthony Koutafidis, the big Cooter, on the other wing. Could have actually put him anywhere, centre half back, centre half forward, on the ball, but let's not forget his 1995 grand final, Cooter, where I thought he was unlucky not to win that Norm Smith medal. Set the MCG alight on his wing. Tremendous player, great in the air. Who could forget his 1999 prelim final where he just willed the Carlton team over the line into a grand final. He just played some sensational football. His year of 2000, a period there of about 12 weeks, was the best football I've seen. The best football I've seen from any individual at any time. He was amazing. So Anthony Koutafidis, over 200 games for the football club, starts on the wing. Let's go to the half forward line. Wayne the Dominator Johnson, through 1979 to 1990, came to the club via VFA club Paran. Was a junior footballer at Wandon North, up in the, I think it's up in the Yarra Valley somewhere. But the Dominator, look, he was just unbelievable. So if you get a chance to go through some old YouTube clips of the Dominator taking over third quarters, the Premiership quarter, was part of the Mosquito fleet, was tough, courageous and skillful on his left foot. And was a goal kicker as well. He could go into the guts, could play on the ball, and was a courageous leader of our football club. Played in 4 premierships, 79, 81 and 82, then again in 87, and was unlucky not to win a couple of Norm Smith medals in a couple of those grand finals. So the Dominator starts on the half-forward flank. Stephen Kernahan, our longest-serving captain, another player we got from South Australia, another player we got out of the really strong Glenelg Football Club. Sticks, as he was known, just a great player. 87, 95 Premiership player, kicked 5 in a 95 grand final, and was our best player in our loss in 1993. Just could do everything. Great mark, great off the deck, and led from the front. Was appointed captain at a very young age, and he just slots in beautifully at centre half forward. On the other half forward flank, I tossed up to where they're having in the centre, on the wing, across hard forward, on the ball. But look, I slot him in across half forward was Craig Bradley, another player we were lucky to get out of South Australia. Played for such a long time and was just a running machine. Had his critics in regards to being an outside player, but he's one of the first players to really have that massive engine and that work rate, which he was known for, and was such a skillful player, could kick unbelievable goals. So Craig Bradley starts on the other half-forward flank. Let's go to the full forward line. Rod Ashman was one of the original Mosquito Fleet brigade. Had a tendency to sniff out a goal, Rod Ashman, but was known to be just a really, really skillful and courageous on-baller. Premiership player in three-time premiership player, 79, 81 and 82, was a great player in all those games. Just a cracking footballer. A lot of head injuries, ended up wearing a helmet. So he slots into the forward pocket. Who could go past Brendan Favola at full forward? The Fev, over 500 goals, three-time Coleman medalist, I think, was unlucky not to get the 100 in 2008, where he was robbed by the Hawks. Leading goal kicker, I think, on about 7 occasions, only behind Soapy Valance as our best ever goal kicker. Mercurial, dynamic, powerful, off the lead, could take a mark, a packed mark, but was more known to be able to push off his opponent, and was equally dangerous off the deck. And through a really, really bleak period of the Carlton Football Club in the early 2000s, up until the time he retired, he was one of the only players that we used to love and go and watch. That was Brendan Favola. So he is at full forward. And the other forward pocket, I wanted to try and have a nice mix in my forward half. I go for Peter Bazzusto. Only played for 65 games, but kicked averaged about 2 goals a game. Got the boy from Western Australia, 2-time premiership player in 81 and 82. Like Favola, was enigmatic, was inconsistent, but he could stand on the opposition's heads. He could kick the miraculous goal, and he could turn a game at the drop of a hat. He was an amazing footballer, Peter Bazzusto. We didn't see enough of him at Carlton when he went back to Western Australia, but he slots perfectly alongside Fev in that full forward line. Let's go to the rucks. I couldn't go past Big Justin Harry Madden in the ruck. I tossed up between him and Premiership captain Mike Fitzpatrick, but just at 206 centimetres and the ability to go forward and kick goals. We got him from the Bombers when he was just cherry ripe to become a very good footballer. 2-time premiership player, runner-up in the Brownlow as well, Justin Madden. A lot of people forget about that. But yeah, look, he was just a great tack ruckman. You can imagine him just palming the ball down to the likes of, he did it to Diesel and Co and Wade Johnson through a period of time. But I have to have him as our ruckman, Big Harry Madden. Ruck Rover, one of our only present players in the team is Big Patrick Cripps, 3-time John Nichols medal winner so far. He's just an amazing footballer. You can imagine him just roving off Justin Madden as that ruck rover, the old-fashioned ruck rover. Could have had him in the guts. And look, it's just going to be amazing to see how Patrick Cripps' career does pan out. Hopefully he can become a premiership captain. He's just been a marvellous footballer so far in his young career, and obviously such a young captain and great leader as well. And I couldn't go past Chris Judd on the other following line. Came across from the Eagles, Victorian originally. We got him, Brownlow medalist, best and fairest winner. Juddy could do it all. And who could forget that third quarter in that 2013 elimination quarter final against the Tigers, where he turned the tide. It was just an unbelievable performance by Juddy. And, look, he was probably past his best, or probably didn't play his best football at the Blues, but he changed the way he played, became more of an inside player, but could still do the miraculous, and that is Chris Judd. That is the starting 22. Starting 18. Let's go to the interchange bench. Brett Ratton. Rats between 1990 and 2003 came through the old under-19s. Started off as a back pocket player, Brett Ratton, then moved into the midfield. Premiership player in 95, and also, importantly, a premiership or best and fairest in a premiership year, and it's a pretty big deal when you're a best and fairest player, and arguably one of Carlton's best ever sides in 1995. Just a great ball getter, beautiful skills, one of the best skilled players we've ever had at the football club in my time watching. Left and right foot, great vision by hand, and terribly courageous Brett Ratton. It was out of that zoning area, the metropolitan zoning area. Brett Ratton, a number of players were able to get from that great zone up around that north area of Carlton, northeast area of Carlton. Brett Ratton sits on the Interchange bench. Wayne Harms, the first ever Norm Smith medalist. Little Piggy Harms, I used to call him. I'll go as far to say, as a kid growing up, Wayne Harms was the most dynamic footballer I ever saw play the game, and obviously the most dynamic player Carlton have ever produced. Pound for pound, unbelievable. Could play in the back pocket, could go up on the wing, could go on the ball, could go forward. He could do just about everything. 3-time premiership player. And, he played over 150 games and could kick a long goal and take a big mark for his size, and he was brutal. Once saw a game against North Melbourne at Princes Park where he played on the wing on Bruce Abernathy and absolutely terrorised Abernathy in the first half. I'll never forget it. The other players on the bench, little Eddie Betts. Great to see Eddie back at the football club. Played between 2005 and 2013. Overlooked in the main draft. We picked him up in the pre-season draft and became a revelation. Became probably one of our best small forwards. Could do anything, could take a mark. That game against Brisbane up at the Gabba where he took 2 of the best marks you'd ever want to see, was great off the deck. And obviously we didn't probably see the best of him when he went to the Crows, but we've got him back now. But he has to be on the bench, and unlucky not to be in the starting 18. And the other player on the bench is Mark Murphy, who's continued to play up until this day. Captain of the footy club for a really hard time. Played some amazing football. We forget played some amazing football, I reckon, between about 2000 through to about 2013. Crippled by sort of shoulder injuries and probably crippled by expectations as a number 1 draft pick. And I think he's been an easy target, but just a great player for a very, very long time, and that is Mark Murphy. Unlucky, a lot of unlucky players, so I put in 3 emergencies. I mentioned Mike Fitzpatrick, played between 1975 right up to 1983. Couple of premierships as a captain in 81 and 82. Was a really, really big game performer, big Mike Fitzpatrick. Played in the ruck at about 193 centimetres. It's hard to believe that he could carry that burden. Such was the way how the game has changed through that period. Cade Simpson, the evergreen Cade Simpson is an emergency. A lot of people probably saying you'd have Simo across the half-back line or maybe in a back pocket, but it's hard to push out the likes of Des English, Kenny Hunter, Andrew McKay. Simo's been a great stalwart. He's played in some of the bleakest times of our football club. His longevity has been something to behold, and I put him as an emergency. And the other emergency of big red Lance Whitnell, very, very underrated player, Lance Whitnell. Obviously struggled with his weight, was a little bit maligned, but through about a 3 or 4 year period, he was a gun, All-Australian. He could do anything, could kick goals, great mark, very, very intelligent. It was a toss-up between him and Mark McClure. But I think, I know McClure played in 3 premierships, but I think Lance Whitnell was a lot more talented football and played over 200 games and kicked a lot of goals. So he is the other emergency. And to finish off, it's hard to go past our coach, David Parkin. Premiership coach in his first year at the football club, coming across from the Hawks, and then coached another one in 82. Left the club, went to Fitzroy, then came back in 1991 and coached the club to another premiership in 1995. He was an innovator. He was before his time. He was a great motivator, David Parkin. And he was a premiership, he was a premiership player himself, but he was known as being one of the greatest coaches of all time. So that's my Carlton Football Club Elite 1979 through to 2020. Hope you like this edition. If you've got any ideas or any other things you'd like to see up on My Blue Heaven, please give us a shout out down below. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and I'll speak to you guys shortly.